Hello everybody. How are you doing today? This is my first video.
Well, that was a riveting start.
Yeah, I know.
Riveting.
This is just gonna go great, guys. Alright, well anyway, we're here to talk about something important.
Tell them who you are.
Well, I'm the Cornfield Cowboy.
I am the Proud Deplorable.
And together we make a fantastic tag team. And
what we're here to talk about today is actually a book that came out in 1965, written by
W. Cleon Skousen.
Skousen, yes, W. Cleon Skousen. We don't know if he's Russian or Swedish or what. We had a joke, but it kind of fell through because we don't want to get called on it. The book that he wrote, he actually wrote two books in 1965 or thereabouts. One was named The Naked Capitalist, the other was named The Naked Communist. And the book we're going to be focusing on in this particular, hopefully, series of videos is The Naked Communist. Tell us what the book is about.
The book outlines a general sense of how a communist would take over a nation, how they would go about turning our beliefs against us and then pretty much taking over our country.
Essentially, the communist game plan. It was actually written after extensive interviews with several prominent, rabid, true-believing, dyed-in-the-wool communists. So these concepts that we're bringing up are actually pretty much right from the horse's mouth. What the book endeavors to tell us is that the communists knew, at least in 1965, that they had no chance of taking over the American government or the American electorate through the ballot box. The anti-communist fervor was just too high. So what they decided is they needed to change our culture in order to make their ideas more acceptable and more easily digestible. And I think what we've seen in the last 15 years is the progression of those ideas. This series will focus on 45 points or 45 steps.
However you want to look at it.
Yeah, that the communists in America felt that if we can accomplish these 45 steps, we can win and make America a good communist nation without having to go through the struggle of attempting to fight on a political front that we can't win. And some of these steps, we have seen many come to fruition, even in the last 50 years. And we're starting to see the fruits of their labors being borne out in our society now. I think what's happening after the Trump election here is an excellent example of the amount of success they have had in implementing their 45 steps.
Now we tried recording an episode on election day, wasn't it? No.
Day before election day.
Day before election day. And
it was poor. It was piss poor. We had noise all over the place, and the video cut itself out after 8 minutes. And we
probably committed seppuku.
Yeah, it lost all hope, I'm sure. And we went on blathering for another 8 or 9 minutes after that without realizing it wasn't even being recorded. So now we have to try to simulate the initial enthusiasm that we felt when we first tried to do this.
Yeah. Well, I feel enthused.
Because Cowboy here knows how much I love repeating myself to people who don't listen.
He loves it. Don't let him lie to you.
Yes, I like the sound of my own voice. It's the only one that ever says anything worthwhile.
Ooh. We're going to go into this one again, aren't we?
Yeah. But what we're going to attempt to do in the next 45 weeks, hopefully one video a week, for 45 weeks is to take each of these steps or points in the Naked Communist and lay out, not necessarily scientifically, but anecdotally. We don't claim to be researchers or scholars in any way, but why is it illegitimate to listen to a person who has lived and seen and has a little bit of common sense in their brain? I mean, do you really need any more than that? All right. You'll probably notice there's a jump cut there. We are actually filming in our basement of our lovely home. I won't tell you where, it's an undisclosed location. And we explicitly gave instructions that nobody's to walk freaking around upstairs because we can hear it on the microphone, and of course they don't listen, so we had to stop recording for a moment and go up and administer some butt hurt. But we're back. Yeah, there's butt hurt. You know, butt hurt, butt rot. I mean, it's just a butt fest up there. So
anyway, we're getting off topic.
We're way off topic. So as I was saying, 45 weeks, a topic a week, exploring each of these 45 steps and what we see in the world and what we see to have happened and continues to happen in our country as these 45 steps have been implemented. I mean, and this isn't just, conspiracy theorists, blow hole up your ass type of stuff. This is, I mean, anybody out there with a brain should be watching this video can see for themselves that this stuff has actually happened.
Anybody with a brain probably is watching this video.
Probably. Like I say, this was written in 1965, which is around the same time that Ronald Reagan became head of the Screen Actors Guild in Hollywood. And as we all know, Reagan was a rabid anti-communist. And he had a reason for it. Tell us why.
Reagan was firebombed twice. Once in his car, once in his home. If that doesn't give you a reason to not like communists, I think nobody really has a better reason than that.
And why was he firebombed? Because Hollywood had a very active communist movement. It probably still does. And if it doesn't have an active communist movement, its influence are still being felt even today, as you can see in how liberal Hollywood is politically. But he disagreed with the Hollywood Communist Party, who wanted to take Hollywood and the Screen Actors Guild in a certain direction, using the media to spread their message. And for his disagreement with them, they tried to kill him, and that's what made him the rabid anti-communist that he was. And that was just at the beginning of this. I mean, the communists had been doing this quietly since the Bolshevik Revolution, really since World War II, when it really started to get a foothold here in America. And this book, The Naked Communist, W. Cleon Skousen.
We'll probably put a link in the description for like a Barnes & Noble or something.
Really laid out their plan. There's no need to linger on this for the purposes of this introductory video. We had debated whether or not to include the first point into this video, but we decided not to. We would rather give each and every individual step and point the attention that it deserves in its full episode.
Now that being said, we may not go in order for steps.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the fence for that one. We're really trying to decide how we want to lay this out. Like
some steps just may be stated after other steps, but make a better prerequisite to explain, and rather than try to go backwards and say, see, this is what we were talking about when we were explaining this step, we would probably like to lay out those prerequisite steps to move us into a step that comes later. And really, we're going to really try to keep this kind of free form. Want to keep it kind of fun, But I think this is information that really needs to be out there. Most people would just call this some kind of wacko conspiracy theory stuff, but when you have it laid out in writing, pretty much straight from the horse's mouth, it's kind of hard to dismiss it.
Yeah, and I think I really want these videos to be educational for you, the audience, who may not have even known some of the facts of like our history, even when it comes to like court hearings and
Legal
arrests.
movements, social movements, political, economic movements. All of these things that have happened in the last 50 years are the result of these very deliberate steps. Dismantling our culture, denigrating our religion, because it's so much easier to have a communist society when you don't have anyone looking up to a higher power than the state. These steps involve taking over the media outlets to spread the message, controlling the education of our children through the school system. It's all laid out, and we're going to bring them to you. It's going to scare the crap out of you.
You may need depends.
I mean, when I first told my associate, the Cowboy here, about these, he was kind of skeptical. But tell us what happened.
Oh yeah, I've looked it up on Google. Google, I said it.
A absolute paragon of reliable information. Although, even a blind squirrel does find an acorn every once in a while. We're still waiting for our copy of the book. It's on order at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, they had to print it and bind it, and they're shipping it out to us actually right now.
Yeah, the growing the tree took the longest.
Yeah.
But we'll get it eventually. Otherwise, we have to go with what resources we can find on the internet until
You
that
could always
time
buy
comes.
it on Nook.
Yeah, you could, but Nook is probably a communist propaganda tool too.
Everything's a communist
By
propaganda.
the time this kid was 20 steps into the list, he was just shaking his head. He could not believe what he was reading.
It's quite amazing, and truly it is informative. And I every person that I've met, I've recommended they read the book. So
Yep.
I always recommend read the book.
And if we find any amount of success with this series, we'll dive next into the naked capitalist. Because capitalism is not a perfect system either. Neither of the theory is, the problem is, communism and capitalism can be perfect systems, except for the fact that you have doggone humans and human interest and human passions always interfering with the proper implementation of the system. And the reason I support capitalism over communism is that capitalism affords
growth.
it encourages equality of opportunity rather than equality of outcome. You give everybody the same opportunity to do well, and then it's up to them being able to use their talents and resources to make good. And that's assuming a perfect capitalist system free of government interference, playing favorites, corporate subsidies, and all that crap that's so polluted our system.
Now,
As opposed to the naked communists, as opposed to communism, which seeks, since you can't bring everybody up to the same level, and communism seeks to equalize the outcome for everybody, so that everybody is equally aligned in society, which would require an equality of outcome. But why can't we have equality of outcome?
because not everybody is equal.
Right. So some people can achieve more than others, some people have more ambition than others, and rather than try to bring the low performers and the lower echelons of society, the poorer echelons, the less educated echelons, up to a higher level, there are not enough resources in the world to do it. It's just much easier and much more practical to take away from the high performers and discourage their excellence and bring them down
Now,
to a level that they can meet the lowest performers.
I think we're gonna end the whole talking about communist topic here, and I think we'll resume that hopefully in like the next episode. We can actually give an overview of what communism is to those who don't know, and And I would hope most of you out there that are watching this video at least have a basic understanding of what communism is.
Communism and its close cousin socialism.
Yes.
Um,
But just to point out, what we're doing right now, this is no talent.
no.
We have absolutely no experience whatsoever in trying to film videos. This is done on a
We're flying
crappy
blind here.
Yeah, it's done with a crappy camera and a good mic.
We hope to get better as the weeks go by. So we hope you'll just bear with us, because I think this is really information that you need to hear. So I think we don't need to drag this out any further. Without belaboring the point, I think we should just end saying, check back with us. We will try to have another video out in a week outlining. We're not sure if we're going to plunge right into the first point or just lay out the 45 points in general so that you know where we're going to go with this course. But we'll get it figured out. Until then, I am the Proud Deplorable.
And I'm the Cornfield Cowboy.
And we wish you God bless, good luck,
You're
and
gonna need it.
stay optimistic. It'll get better.